Coach K was the villain in college basketball, right? The same way that LeBron is the villain in the NBA, and the same way that Tom Brady is the villain in the NFL. You either love him or you hate him. Same way the Yankees are the villain in Major League Baseball, right? So I want to know who you guys think is going to step up and fill that role of the villain in college hoops with Coach K gone, because I do believe that having someone that everybody can root against, right? Having just that universal figure that you either love or you hate, it's important. Like, the NFL is better when the Cowboys are good and we can argue about whether or not they are actually good, right? I mean, you can argue with Cowboy fans. Major League Baseball is better when the Yankees are good and we have people that hate the Yankees or love the Yankees. You could say the same thing about the Red Sox. When both those teams are great and you have an entire nation that hates everybody in the Northeast that's a baseball fan, while they happen to be two of like the 5 best teams, like, that's a good thing for the sport. So I want to know, I gave you a homework assignment. Who are your potential villains? I have 3 written down that I think can step up and fill that void.
Please enlighten me on your 3. I would love to hear it.
You go first. Fanta, you got a list? You want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. I'd be happy to go first. I'll step out on the limb. I have 3. So I'm going to start with a very brief, I think this is good for. I think Coach K and Roy Williams retiring is good for the Pac-12. The Pac-12 clearly has a door reopening in the sport. With that being said, there is no question in my mind that Mick Cronin can be a villain in college basketball again. Feel-good story this past year because they were an underdog. UCLA and underdog, those don't match. I want UCLA to be good again, like really good, because Mick Cronin, when he's really good, Mick Cronin is a good guy. Like, I like him personally, and I've had him on shows. He's a great interview. But Mick Cronin can stick it to people, and I like that. I like that about Mick Cronin. I want you to stick it to him. So Mick Cronin would be one for me because UCLA is a big brand. They're in LA. I think he could cause some stirring of the pot if they schedule right, and if the next Pac-12 commissioner finds some ABC windows and some popular television windows to get UCLA basketball kind of in the forefront of the sport again. We need that Pac-12 Saturday afternoon showcase to return to broadcast television to get people talking a little bit more about Pac-12 basketball. That's one thing we learned. Mick Cronin would be one for me. I gotta say,
let's rotate. Let's rotate through. Let's rotate through and go step by
step. One there,
because Mick Cronin was one of mine, which is perfect because he's such an angry little dude, right? But like, UCLA fans are going to love him. You mentioned he's a good interview. He's a great interview. He understands like how to be a presence on camera. He's got some charisma to him, even though it doesn't really look like he's a guy that's meant for charisma. And like, I don't know how much you guys listen to the Parrish and Norlander podcast. What is it, Eye on College Basketball, or like Titus and Tate? But both of those pods love Mick Cronin. Like, they have running jokes about Mick Cronin, like the greatest coach, whatever, at UCLA. So at some point, people are going to get sick of that. The tide's going to turn, especially if they end up being as good as they should be next season. And you mentioned he can stick it to people. Do you remember when he almost got in a fight with JP Mercura? Right? Do you remember when he came out in the press conference after the Xavier Cincinnati brawl? He's perfect for the villain, which leads into my next one, right? The other guy that media loves, right? Who the media loves this guy more than just about anybody else. But he also, 1, coaches at a blue blood. 2, has some NCAA issues in the past. A lot of people think that he's a cheater. And 3, there are certain question marks about his hair, the same way that nobody believes that Coach K actually has jet black hair at this age. And that is the one and only Bill Self of the Kansas Jayhawks. He is perfectly suited to become a villain in the sport. Media love him. I love him. He's a great guy, right? But if Kansas can get back, if they can get past this whole investigation, right, and he doesn't get fired and the program doesn't get torpedoed, he has a chance to be something where everybody hates him. Media loves him. Everybody hates him. So I think Bill Self is the obvious number 2 on this list. Day, where are you at?
He was my 3rd pick. I agree with you. Like, when I was a young kid, watching Kansas, and I used to hate watching Kansas because of Bill. So he would sit there with a smirk on his face when they would be winning games. I used to, Bill Self was a big problem for me growing up. My pick, this is gonna be pretty funny. The perfect bad guy is Rick Pitino. Like, the perfect one. I think next year, I think people were pretty upset that he made it to the NCAA tournament with Iona. I knew people from up north that were not pretty, like they weren't happy about Rick Pitino back in America in the limelight, suited up, hair slicked back, talking, getting in his players' faces, talking crap. Like people do not like Rick Pitino as much as they used to. I think Rick Pitino, if he can schedule some games and he's still at Iona, schedule some games and get his guys ready for next year, I can see Rick Pitino taking some people off that he's still around when Coach K and Roy Williams aren't.
You know what we really needed? We needed Rick Pitino to go get the BC job is what we needed.
I thought he was going to
We needed him to take BC to do the same thing he did with BC that he did with Providence back in the 80s. That's what we needed. It didn't happen. But Rick was one of the guys that I was thinking about, but it's Iona, man. Like if he can't get out of Iona,
you can't get him out of there. He can't be the bad guy at Iona. They might not take him.
We just disrespected it. NYC's finest over here. Fanta is not happy about us disrespecting Iona.
Oh, come on. You can't. Here's the thing with Rick. So I think that Rick Pitino, it's kind of like the WWE type of thing when they are a villain for so long that WWE fans get so tired of it. So they start rooting for the villain to like do good things.
Kurt Angle.
I actually think people are entertained with Slick Rick. So like they're like, you know what, this guy's in his old age, he's still winning. We can't paint him out to be the demon. And hey, there's a lot of people who on the flip side are like, yeah, Rick Pitino got away with everything, and now he's back in college basketball. He stuck it back to him. I want to root for that. So I just thought of one, though. And I think he's, again, really, really, really good guy. You can both be a really, really, really good guy and a villain, okay? Because you could be respected and liked by a certain crowd of people. There's also a certain crowd of people that could take issue with you. If Eric Musselman keeps leaping on tables after NCAA tournament wins, there's a chance that some people really start to not like that. And not just some people. I'm waiting for Musbus to win a big tournament game, go crazy, which I love. I love it. We love it. But I'm waiting for an opposing coach after the game to be like, act like you've been there before. I don't even understand what that is. Like, what is that behavior? We need that. Like, I would love that because I think Arkansas is just getting started. Like I'm buying the Musbus. I think he's going to win a lot. He's a winner. But I also think that he rubs some other coaches the wrong way.
Oh, yeah. Look at the turnover in his staff. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but if you go back and look at his staff, it turns over almost every single year. And it's because he can be I'm trying to think of how to say this politically correct.
Condescending a little
bit intense.
Yeah, intense.
But he also, no coach in college basketball, aside from maybe Lavelle Moten, understands how to use social media better than Muss. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't run his own accounts. I don't think he's actually the one out there like posting the tweets that he sends, but he understands how to play that foil and how to kind of troll people online. And if someone's coming, like if you go at Muss on Twitter, there will be a tweet from the Eric Musselman account, the official one, coming right back at you at some point. So I love that. I didn't even think of that, Fanta. I love that call.
Yeah.
All right, I got another one from the SEC.
I know where you're going with this. I know exactly. I got it.
It's Will Wade.
Well, yeah.
Will Wade. There's two in the SEC that. Well, Coach. We already mentioned Coach Cal, right? So yes. Look, you're the head coach of Kentucky. You've won national titles. You change the one and done stuff. You say whatever you want. You're great in press conferences, but you know how to piss people off. Yes, Coach Cal obviously is the obvious pick. Will Wade, I think, with how much he has been linked to cheating, right? I don't want to say how much he cheats, but how much he's been linked to cheating since he's been at LSU. The whole strong ass offer deal. The only problem with him is like it's LSU, right? Like, I don't know if that's a big enough brand for him to really kind of ascend to that level. And there's no way, like he's not getting hired for a bigger job at any point, right? So I kind of think he's going to be at LSU until he ends up getting fired, making $3 million a year, and that's kind of what it is. But I just don't know if he's at a big enough program to really be that guy. But yes, Coach Cal's the guy from the SEC. If it's going to be someone, it's probably going to end up being him. Day, where you at? Oh, he's on mute.
Aren't we past that?
I was going to blame My bad.
I'm leaving that in. We are 16 months into a Zoom only pandemic, and Deshaun Butler is still messing up on the calls. What is going on over here, man?
I wanted to make sure you didn't get my squeaking in while you were talking. Nah, I was gonna say as a judge, I was like, I'm gonna pick Jerry Stackhouse. The reason I'm picking Jerry Stackhouse as a villain was mainly because a lot of people weren't happy that former players were getting these jobs. And now that these former players are getting these head coaching jobs and they are in the forefront in high top Power 5 schools, like someone like Jerry Stackhouse, who obviously had his small issue last year with one of his players publicly. I mean, and a lot of coaches, and I'm talking about a lot of coaches, people I know they were like, yeah, maybe, Jerry should have not said that and kept his mouth quiet. And they weren't too happy about the way that they carried himself. So I would say, Jerry Stackhouse could probably be seen as a villain this upcoming season if he was able to win enough.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. If he's able to win enough. So my if he's able to win enough villain would be a coach who would be regarded as a villain no matter who he is, because the fan base of this school likes to stick it to everyone else. And now with them being back in the conference that they belong in, the Big East, I would go with UConn and Dan Hurley. Dan Hurley, a personal friend, good guy, family man. But here's the thing. He coaches at UConn and he has a fiery personality. And guess what, guys? UConn's not going anywhere in terms of they're going to be a top 3 Big East program for the foreseeable future because they can recruit. They've got the resources. They have an edge on other Big East schools that's just going to carry them right near the top of the Big East. Last year ended in disappointing fashion. It did. But Hurley has this charisma, and it's kind of waiting to get unleashed in the NCAA tournament. UConn is going to be good. He's going to win enough, I think, to potentially get to that national exposure of, God, this, when you're watching UConn, if they go on a Sweet 16 run, you're going to see Hurley going crazy on the sidelines. And that might rub people like a little bit of a weird way. But the thing is, UConn fans love to take that stick and put it in the fire to make sure that they're getting under you. They do it in women's basketball all the time. Like they literally, the Kim Mulkey stuff with the mask, and she was arguing about not giving the teams COVID tests in the women's Final Four. UConn fans just kept on playing that quote on the women's side for like 2 weeks to show that, like, Gino is better than Kim Mulkey. Like they love to do that. I could see them doing some similar things. They did it with Calhoun all the time. Like Jim Calhoun was hated by some people. I love Jim Calhoun. I love that. Did y'all see Jim Calhoun's quote about Coach K? In the process of honoring Coach K, Calhoun made it known that, he means a lot to me because, I beat him. Like that is
what so let's because this was great. This was like this really sums up the UConn fan base perfectly. What he basically said was, yeah, I owe a lot to Coach K because when we beat Duke in 1999 to win the national title, that really put us on the map, and we only grew more when we beat Duke in the 2004 Final Four when everyone thought that they were the favorites, and we came back and then we won our second national title. So our programs are really tied together because they beat us once with Leitner, but then we beat them twice to win national titles. So they really helped us grow. He means a lot to me. It's just like, yes,
only he could get away with that.
Yes, only Calhoun could. But you're right. You're right about Hurley. There's nothing funnier than when Hurley, he's like just livid, but he's trying to suppress all of that anger, and you could just see it. Like you see smoke coming out of his ears, but he's just sitting there stewing. He's got this face like this, and he's making all these weird like contortions with his face. It's just, and he's got like the thick glasses on. It's just, yeah. He would be very good at being a troll. Along those same lines, the one other guy I had on my list was Tom Izzo, for a lot of the same reasons that Bill Self is on that list. He's at a blue blood or a power program, however you want to phrase it. He's a guy that the media loves and adores. He's not afraid to say what he needs to say. And he can also be someone that can strike a bit of controversy. Right? Like how many times have we seen him end up being a topic on like First Take or whatever because he yelled at a guy when he came to the bench. Because he's still a fiery coach. He still coaches intense. He's not afraid to scream at you. So I think that he could definitely step into that role and that void if he wants it, and if Michigan State can get back to that level that they're expected to be at. You guys got anyone else?
No, I'm good. I could not top you guys with the names you were throwing out here. Like I haven't, like Danny Hurley's nuts, and I have no one that can beat Danny Hurley. So